evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Jennifer Asante. I work for the city of Richmond. I've been working there for about 17 years. I work in the finance department. I'm a budget and management analyst. My actual experience in finance has been real extensive. I prepare the budget for the city of Richmond. We are currently in the fiscal year 12 and 13. Council is meeting as we speak. We're getting ready to roll out fiscal year 14 and 15 on July 1. So I have been working diligently with council, with the administration, with finance to help prepare the budget for the city of Richmond. If you go on www.richmondgov.com under Budget and Strategic Planning, you will see a copy of the budget book there. That will give you an overview of the city's financial portfolio. And my responsibility is to deal with the general fund portion of the book. So I do have some financial management. And I also have some training for small business. I've been married 30 years to Michael Asante, who has had his business for about maybe 15 years as a lead inspector. So who knows what a lead inspector is? What he does is he goes around to houses and he tests for lead. A lot of lead paint is engulfed in the city of Richmond, New York City, Chicago, Denver, but his area of concentration has been New York and Richmond. So he has his small business. So that is what I'm going to use as a platform so that we can all have dialogue and understand how a small business can work. I've talked about myself. I want to hear from you guys. Just to introduce yourself, tell me what your business is, and then we can get started full blown. We have a lot of material to cover. So what we're going to do is, I would like for it to go. We're going to ask questions. Please make sure that the questions that we do ask, maybe somebody can benefit from them. Your personal stories and things that has happened, we love to hear them, but we must be mindful of everybody's time. Because I know time is precious. People got things to do. We want to hear things, but we want to have the ability to finish the program, because that's what we're here for. To get these through these objectives so everybody can understand. Are we in agreement? Yes. House rules. Let's turn your cell phones off, your pagers, your e-pads, your iPads. Put them on vibrate so that everybody else is not being disturbed. I'm not sure where the men's facility is, but I do know where the female facilities are. I'm sorry about that, gentlemen. You go right out this door, through the alcove, and to the left is the female. I'm not sure where the men.
And the men is just the opposite. You go all the way down till you can't go any further, and just beyond the stairs, you make that right turn, you're right there.
Okay. We still have more. We are being filmed. I did ask for a show of hands who do not want to be on film. Okay, so if you do not want to be, please raise your hand so this gentleman can see we have one person here. Okay, great. So with further ado, let's get started to introduce ourselves. We'll start.
And I'm going to introduce my counterpart today. I think most of you know who I am. I'm Pat Foster, Deputy Director with the Office of Minority Business. And I have one of the people that are working with me today, Sabelle, and I have her introduce herself. But she's going to be working with me with this particular class as well. And when it comes to graduation, that's what she's working on. She's working on your graduation program right now. So I want you to see the person that will be putting that together. Sabelle.
That's it. I recognize some faces, but look forward to getting to know you, and that's it.
Very good. Well, I'd like to welcome all of you to Financial Management for a Small Business. This is basically going to be a real overview of businesses that design participants to help manage their financial business. We're going to go over some objectives, we're going to go over some materials, we're going to do some activities, and I want your input. Because I just took and heard and saw everybody who has their own business, or who wants to start a business, or who's not sure about what they want to do. So if we all put our heads together, we can come up with some ideas, we can come up with some better advice, we can come up with some experiences that may help each and every one of us. Okay?
Jennifer,
Yes.
you want to let me take the post-test first?
Yes, and I was getting ready to do
Okay.
that. So we just go over the agenda and the introduction and the ground rules, and we're going to go ahead on and do that. Now, in your packet, everybody should have a participation guide. And before we start, we're going to go over the agenda, okay? So the agenda, what we will discuss. So you have an understanding of where we're going with this financial management. There will be at least a 10-minute break during the class. Okay, if you have some experience or knowledge or aspect of the material, please feel free to share your ideas with everybody. Before I get started, I shared a little bit about myself. You have your participation guide. I need to go over the objectives because that is a real key component before we start any type of understanding of this financial management. Explain the concept of financial management and its importance to a small business owner. We want to identify some management practices, rules, and tools commonly available to small businesses. I want to explain how financial management practice, rules, and tools work. Startups and financing. That's an important concept. Facing for a growing business, finance working capital, and financing fixed assets. Now, before we start, I wanted us to take a pretest, just so you can see where you are in your financial portfolio or your financial knowledge. So what do you know or want to learn about financial management? So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to use this. What do you know about financial management for small business? So does everybody have this copy right here? Yes? No?
No, let me get.
No? Okay, this gentleman. It's in your participation guide. So if you can put your name on this, put my name on this. My name is Jennifer Asante, and today's date is May the 7th, 2013. Do you have this? Right. Right, it's the second page, and your participation guide. Okay? We're going to focus on before training. That's what we're going to focus on. So there are 8 questions that I need you, this form will allow you, go ahead and read it, and go ahead and answer the questions from 1 to 8 before training. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do that. Okay. So, benefits of financial management. Reach your goals, making good decisions. Before we start that, this is going to be the first concept we're going to dig into. I want us to do this pretest first. This pretest sets a tone to see exactly what you really know about this financial management. The pretest is on page 5, so if we can all turn to page 5 in your participation guide, please. This just gives us an idea, gives yourself an idea. What do you really know about financial management? Everybody has their businesses, people are starting businesses. Let's go ahead and just take a few minutes to go ahead and answer question 1 through 9 to see exactly what do you know. Great. Well, let's go ahead and get started now, since everybody should be finished with the pretest, and there is going to be a post-test. Now, when I say hint, hint, that's something you may want to check in that area that I'm going to discuss that would help you address the post-test answers. This just shows you, like I stated before, where you were at. Again, my name is Jennifer Asante. For those who are just coming in, I'd like to welcome you to financial management. Benefits of financial management. Each section that we're going to go over is about 10 minutes. So we're going to try to keep within that because, like I stated before, we have a lot of material to cover. But if you have any questions, questions, please feel free to ask. If you have anything that you want to contribute, please feel free to do so. In this particular slide here, what I like to go over is forecast your growth. Know your profitability, forecast your growth, plan for diversification, new product lines, reaching new markets, and preparing for financing and loans. In your packet, the question, hint, hint, this is what I need for you to really understand. If your business growth requires financing loans, financial management provides the information to know how much you can afford for your business. Financial management gives you not only the documentation needed for loan applications, but also helps you discuss your business circumstances with a lender in terms that improve your ability to qualify for a loan. A lot of us need loans for our businesses. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. When my husband started the business that we had, he had to buy an XRF machine. And an XRF machine is a machine that is used to test lead-based paint. And that machine is over $20,000. He had to go with a plan, with a proposal to the bank, with his financial documentation to let the bank see how he was going to be profitable with this machine testing lead in the Virginia region. And by doing so, with his financial documentation, he had to forecast his growth. You have to go to this bank with your documentation to show them how are you going to forecast your growth. Tell me, somebody give me an example of one way you can forecast your growth. Anybody in business? Sir.
Contracts that you have, you can take those to the bank and you use those for forecasting. For the loan you're trying to get, you can use the contract itself as your collateral.
Very good. Sir.
The existing sales and projected sales.
That's right. When we do a forecast is a projection going forward. We take the numbers, we see where we're at, you see where your business is at, and you go forward. Okay? Prepare for financing loans. How are you going to finance that loan? How are you going to pay back that money? That's where you have to concentrate on and focus on when you're dealing with business. Okay. Budgeting. This is the meat and potatoes of a business. You have to have a budget. You cannot get away from that. People who budgeted, who has a budget for their home? Raise your hand. Very good. I know I do. It may be small, but it's a budget. You have to have, there are several financial management practices and tools that are commonly used for small business. So, let's start with budgeting. Hint, hint. Creating a budget is the first place to start with your financial management practice. A budget is a tool that helps you. So we're going to go over, in your participation guide, there is a discussion point for budgeting. We'll go ahead to review each category. What other categories do you use? Do you track your monthly expenses? If so, how does this help you with your business decisions? Okay. In your participation guide, there is a sheet like this. Okay? Let's look at this sheet along with what budget categories do you use for your business. How do you track your expenses? How my husband and I track his expenses? We use a program called Quicken. Has anybody heard of that? Great. That is a good resource. It's a good tool. It does my invoices. It allows me to go ahead and take care of how much money's coming in, how much inventory we have on hand. So that is a good way of keeping a budget. That is documentation. So what budget categories do you use? Do you see any, when you're creating your budget for your monthly budget and your actual monthly expenditures, do you use any of these categories? Who uses some of these? Sir, back there?
Yes.
Okay. Which ones do you use?
There's a number, insurance, employee and contractors, inventory purchases, permits and licenses, income taxes, owner's draw, travel, business choice charges, bank choice, bank
Okay.
service charges.
Very good. That's what other category, that's how do you track your monthly expenses? What are some of the key components you can use for tracking your monthly expenses? How my husband and I track our monthly expenses that we use, we review our invoices. We review our bank statements. That way, every month that it comes into the business, you look at that component and you put that into your tool that you use or your resource that you use so that you can do a running balance of your monthly expenses. You have to do that. That is a key component because when you get ready to go to the bank, they want to see what are you working with. Remember, in my head, I always tell for my business, okay, you can't have your expenses exceed your what? Your revenue. Okay? You can't have that. If you are just spending, and you're not tracking, how much money do you know is coming into the business? You don't. So that is a real key component. Review each category, know what other categories you use, and please, let's go ahead and keep a budget. Plan for the future. Economize when you need. Plan for expansion. If you see your business is making a profit, do you want to expand right away in the next month? Why not, Janet?
Why not?
Why not?
Because I'm saying you never know when that windfall may change or the winds of that business may change. You may just want to plan to use that money as a cushion of growth.
Very good. The way the economy is now, why do you want to go ahead, even if you are making a little money in your business, why would you go ahead and reinvest it into opening up another branch right now? Let's focus on what you have. You may want to step outside the box a little bit, but you have to keep in mind, is this going to be profitable? Is this going to make me money, or am I going to lose money? So please be mindful of that when you see that you are being a little profitable within your business. Bookkeeping. This is a great component that we have to understand. This is another critical component of your business. Organizing, process, and tracking all income and expense transactions, down to the little minute. Even if you buy a pack of gum, track it. Don't say, oh, I bought a pack of gum, because what happens is you buy a pack of gum today, you buy a pack of gum next week, and next thing you know, you're $50 in the hole with gum. You say, what happened to my $50? So therefore, be mindful of people don't think, oh, that's not important. It is important. With lead, my husband has to use wipes. Takes the wipes, puts them in a tube, and sends them off to the lab. That has to be analyzed. Each little tube is like 10 cents. Okay? So you don't think I'm tracking that? He just puts it to, I say, hey, my kids want to take those tubes. Oh, no. We don't use those. You have to track every little expense. The wipes that he uses, I have to track that. They come in a box, they come in a pack, we have to track that. That is part of the business expense. So, basis for all financial management business decisions, financing, taxes, owner's draw, and retirement. Let's go over that. Bookkeeping steps. There are 10 basic bookkeeping steps. Now, this is where I want you guys to kind of chime in and let me know, for your business, what do you see applies to you? What type of bookkeeping steps do you guys need? Do you do? Obtain business accounting software. I said Quicken. Who uses something else? Can you give us an example?
QuickBooks.
Sir, QuickBooks?
Yeah, I bought QuickBooks, but just learning how to maneuver it was a challenge.
Okay. There is an online help.
Yeah.
That's the one I used.
Okay.
So, and it worked out fine for me. After a while, I started putting in the invoices, started managing the budget, and it worked out fine. So just keep at it. It's user-friendly.
Okay.
It's not as hard as you think.
Okay.
And it does incorporate, if you keep a separate list, it can you can migrate the both of them.
Okay,
So just keep that in mind,
okay.
all right? Open a separate business checking account. That's real important. Don't combine those funds with your personal checking account. Do not do that. We have lead spec, and then we have our household. And then, you know, girls, I got my own little thing going on, but that's, oh, sorry, I had a sidebar here. But you have to keep it separate, because what'll happen is you start picking from that checking account if you combine both of them. How's to say what money is what? How would you know that, sir?
It's difficult.
It's difficult.
You could track it though, if you take the time to go ahead and do it after the end of each day, you can say,
Right.
okay, I spent this for the house and I spent this for the business, but it's difficult.
It's difficult, but it's easy if your bank sends you a reconciliation statement saying for lead spec. This is lead spec. This ain't got nothing to do with household. And please, don't try to take money from your business for your household expenses. Sometimes I know it's hard, but you need to keep them separate. Okay? Reconcile your checking account. That's important. Each month, try to reconcile it. Even if you have to hire your sister or your brother, someone who knows if you don't know. Sit with them and learn. Okay?
But what do you mean by reconcile your, what do you mean? Check.
Reconcile your checking account. Balances. And we're going to go over a profit and loss statement. I'm going to show you that exactly how that's going to work. You put in something. If you spend something, you need to deduct that from your balance, and that's what your net profit is right there.
Okay, so that's the business checking.
That's the business checking account we're talking about, right?
Okay.
And people, yes ma'am. People reconcile their checkbook, just like I reconcile my checkbook. If I write 10 bills and I start off with a balance and I deduct all those balances, that's my net. That's what I have left. So I should have that based on my software, what I'm using to reconcile my books. Those two should match. Okay, if they don't, then there's something wrong. Maybe I forgot to make an entry. Okay. Yes.
And are you also talking about when you collect in all those receipts? You know, some of us are more sophisticated, maybe some of us are putting in an envelope, that you take those receipts and you make sure that they are matched, especially if they're credit cards and so forth, that they're reconciled with your checkbook. So
Exactly. And those also have to be, because you do pay out with those. So you definitely, that's the next step, track your sales. Track any of those receipts or track any of those sales that you do. You have to be able to have documentation, register tape, invoices, and a sales book. Always track them. Match payment with your canceled check.
Also, with your receipts, you want to make sure that you, like the ink can wear off the receipts over a period of time, so you may want to write it on there too, like the amount it was and the date, just in case it inks.
Exactly,
that ink
and
will go off.
that's an excellent idea, because we keep things so long sometimes that it does wear off where we don't know the amount. And then when we get ready to reconcile, or when we have to have this documentation, we can't support it. Thank you for sharing that.
about how often would you say that you should put people with those reconciled and
Well,
checking and tracking sales?
we reconcile monthly, because we have to keep the business showing a profit, or showing, is it profitable? And that's where you want to do, and you're not going to know that if you let it go 2 and 3 and 4 months. How do you know that you made any money? So it would behoove you if you would go ahead and do it monthly. Thank you. Deposit all sales. This is really important, okay? Here's a good example. I'm going to use the city of Richmond. We have a finance department. We collect taxes, we collect fine and fees. Let's say we are collecting that money. That's revenue coming into the city, am I correct?
Yeah.
All I'm doing is piling in this thing. Yeah, I'll get to it when I can. Yeah, I'll get to it when I can. 1 month passed by, 2 months passed. Nah, we don't do that in the city, okay? We don't do that. Okay, I work with finance. Just using the example, okay? 1 month passed by, 2 months passed by. Those receipts still sitting in there. Am I making any money? I'm not making no money. I'm not depositing any of these payments that I've been getting. I'm not putting them anywhere. you need to deposit your receipts as soon as you get them, because that will help your business. Interest. There's some interest need to be made, and suppose you have to buy supplies. What are you going to, and they're coming out the sky? This is your money. This is your revenue right here. So get it in the bank, get it tallied, get it credited to your business.
Does it also help show record of your revenue when you have to, you know, go to financial?
Oh, most definitely, profitability. That shows how your business is growing. Shows you how you are sustaining a certain amount of money in your business and it is profitable. That's what they want to see. That's why we use documentation. That's why we show how much revenue we brought in on a monthly or quarterly basis. Most forecasters are done. I do forecasts for my agency. I have about a $5.3 million budget that I work with. And I deal with my agencies, especially with their revenue, to let them see how much revenue they have, so they know how much they can expend. So it's real important to get that money, those cash receipts in, and get them into your deposit so you'll know how much revenue you have, so you can go forward. If you do need a loan, you can show the bank. That's a documentation. Yes, here's my documentation, here's my revenue. Let's see, track sales, deposit all sales. We went over that, okay. Write business checks for business expenses. I'm going to tell you, don't use petty cash. Let's all say that together. Don't use petty cash. Petty cash is a business failure waiting to happen. And I'm going to tell you from experience. You set petty cash aside. That is for emergency funds, not to be buying a t-shirt, a logo for your thing. And when you have cash ready available, we know when we have cash in our pocket, what do? Let's just take, what happens? Make it rain. That's what we do. But what we need to focus on, see, when you got to write a check, what does that make you?
Accountable.
Makes you accountable and more responsible. And that shows a tracking system. When you have money in your pocket and you start spending it, you can get a receipt, but it doesn't make you accountable when you're writing a check for your business. So please keep that in mind, okay? Hint, hint, hint. Obtain a separate business card. Do not mix personal and expenses on one credit card, okay? Make sure you do this. You have your Visa for your home purpose. You have your Visa for your business. That is a perfect way of getting into trouble when you combine the two. Oh, I'm just going to take this Visa card. I'm going to go buy me some flowers or buy my girlfriend or boyfriend something. Is that part of your business? Not unless you're in the flower business, then that'll work for you. But if you're not in the flower business, you need to keep them separated.
But we
Yes,
talking about a secured business credit card. Being I'm in the business that I was offered something like that today. So what is your take on that?
Well, first thing, what is the percentage? They're going to charge you 24 interest, 24, 25 interest. That's not
your own money?
Well,
on the secured, because you have.
Oh, so you're securing your own money on this? Then that's fine. Then I mean that, long as it's a business,
Yeah.
okay, and as long as you deal with business transaction, that's like a regular credit card. That's still, you're using business money to secure and to purchase goods and services for your business. Okay. You have a question? No? So does everybody understand what she's asking? Okay, she's securing her own dollars. It's just like we do a debit card from your bank. When you go to the bank, 9 times out of 10, if you're debiting something, it's coming right out of your checking account. That's your own personal funds. But it should be in your business. Pay business expenses first. Most businesses start at a sole proprietorship. Hint, hint. In a sole proprietorship, you're the owner, okay? Do not get salary, rather you take an owner's draw. Who can tell me what's an owner's draw?
That's basically what you
Pay
pay yourself
yourself.
out of the business.
Pay yourself out of the business.
That's the only.
Okay. How? Okay. When we have our business, Lead Spec, and my husband needs to get a haircut, does he take money from the business to go get a haircut?
No, you shouldn't.
No, he shouldn't. Why is that, sir? You shook your head.
Because that's committed funds.
Commingling funds. That's a personal thing. That's not a business thing. Now, if he wants to pay himself out of his business because he needs to go ahead and resource his machine, which has cost $6,000 every 3 years, then he can go ahead on and start paying himself so he can set aside that money to resource that machine. That's where you need to focus on. And that's another key component. People who have businesses, you also have to look, what keeps me running my business? What do I need? I have Lead Spec business. Okay? My husband needs to resource his XRF machine about every 3 years. That means he's got to send it out to the company. They have to resource it with the x-rays and whatever they do.
Calibration.
Calibration, thank you. Calibration, and then he'll get it back. Because once he uses it on the lead paint, it is designed to calculate how much lead paint is on the wall. So that machine has to be calibrated. That costs $6,000. So if you have to take this money, he needs to pay himself. He needs to start putting that money aside so when it comes time to calibrate that machine, he'll have that money. Yes?
On the expense sheet, what would you, I guess, put for your own salary? Would you put owner's drawer or operating expense if you're paying yourself?
When am I paying myself? I would go ahead and put that as a owner's drawer. My operating expense to get the business operating, to keep it operating. This is something, even though that machine will help operate the business, I need to use that as like a savings. And that's where we put that in a category like a savings. I need to save some money from this business so that I can go ahead and pay for this resourcing.
But isn't that a business expense?
It can be a business expense. Yes, it is. So it could be both. It could be both. We look at it as both. We look at it as a business expense, and I look at it as a savings, because we have to have this done.
You have to save to get
So you have to save to get this. Yes.
So you set that up in a separate account?
No, I put that in a business account, but we do have a checking and a savings in the business account.
So when you do the owner's drawer, I write my own self a check off of the business checking account.
Exactly, because you need to get expenses or you need to get things for your business. So you have to pay yourself. It's just like we're at work. We get our paycheck. What do we use our paycheck for?
Pay bills.
Pay bills. So it's the same thing when you use your owner's drawer from your business. You want to reinvest back into the business. It's an operating expense, but still you need to pay yourself because still you need things for the business. I'm sorry, did I?
I mean, you're paying yourself to go invest back in the business. But what about as far as your bills, your personal?
Yeah.
How would you pay yourself on that level?
Well, and that's a very good question. And this is how we do it, okay? 9 times out of 10, people who have a business, they have a job, okay? And this is how I do it. But those who don't have a business, don't have a job, and their sole proprietorship is their business, you need to have 2 separate accounts. And I can't stress this enough. One would be, just like you said, for your personal. One would be for your business. When you do your owner's drawer, okay, your owner's drawer would come from you taking care of your personal business, but you need to separate from your business. You stated that you have to go ahead and pay your bills. Because let's say I'm Lead Spec, I don't have another job. My husband takes his owner's drawer. He needs to set up his separate account for his personal business. He needs to set up his account for his business. He wants to pay Virginia Power you go ahead and pay Virginia Power out your owner's drawer, but that is a separate account. That's your personal. You pay for reinvesting in your business to resource your machine every 3 years. That's where you put the money into the savings. Do you understand, or? Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about, and can someone shed some light, or do we have a miscommunication here? Yes.
You're just explaining, if I'm understanding you, the way you all utilize your draw.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be utilized that
Right.
way.
Mhm.
It's just the way you utilize it because you forecast that 3 years out, you're gonna need a certain amount of money, and you want to ensure that you have that money there. Folks could do it differently, like this gentleman across there, you may have said, okay, I know that I'm gonna have that money, I'm just gonna pull it, and it's gonna be an expense when that time comes, perhaps. So anyway, the point is that that's just the way you all use your owner's drawer. You don't have to use the owner's drawer that way.
Do you have a tax liability on that money?
Yes. 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 We definitely have a tax liability on that money. That's a good question. Very good question. We have to pay taxes on that.
On the draw.
On the drawer.
On the owner's drawer.
On the owner's drawer. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so-
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Let me
No,
just
no,
get this and this. Yes, sir.
You got something to say?
No, go ahead.
I think what they splitting hairs on is owner's draw versus a salary. Salary is a set amount that you're gonna set for yourself every month. Owner's draw is, hey, every month I'm just gonna take a piece of the profits from my company for myself. I know what I want, so I just take an owner's draw versus a salary. So I'm not gonna set my salary at $5,000, $6,000 a month. This month I may only take $2,000 from the company. Next month I might need $3,000. That's an owner's draw versus the salary.
So you're saying owner's draw is another word for salary? If you're paying yourself out of your business?
It's a form of salary because you're taking money from it.
I see.
So, and that was a very good point. Thank you for bringing that up with reference to how I do it, as reference to how everybody, like this gentleman, he does it. That's how you do it on your business end. Exactly. That was a great point. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
And what she did something clever. And the part she put in there, how you take that owner's draw and use it for production of your equipment. That's a smart step for long-term thinking. And that was smart how they come up with that plan to let you know other ways of managing your business without putting a lot of strain on your finance.
And how do you find out what your tax liability? Because I'm kind of like in that area right now. So where do you find out what your tax liability is?
Okay, my husband takes care of the taxes part. I'm not the guru in the taxes. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not the guru in the tax liability. But as far as he is concerned, there is H&R Block. There are tax resources that you can find out what's your tax liability on the business. He takes care of that portion. I'm not good with the taxes. But wait a minute. Does anybody have a take on that? Because we're here and there's a wealth of knowledge.
I think what they're asking is when you do that owner's drawer, that's your money. And what you decide to do with it is up to you. Now, do you have to pay taxes on that money once
Oh,
you
okay,
do
yes,
it?
you do have
Because
to pay
if you put that same money, if you want to use that money to pay off a machinery, you can almost put it like in another escrow or reserve account and transfer it, and then I don't think that would be taxes because it stays within that business.
That's what
I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what was throwing me off.
Okay,
You
so-
know, if you pull in that draw for personal expenses,
Right.
you show that as income
That's
at the end of the year.
Right.
But if you're gonna take some of that money that you're pulling for a personal draw and use it for a business expense,
That's correct.
you could take, that's on the business side. I don't think it's fair to show that on your personal side, if I'm hearing this correctly.
Right, but what we'll do is you still have to pay taxes on that, on the personal side as well, because you're taking from the same pool of money from your business. Like the gentleman said, you're paying yourself out of that. This is your sole source of income. So you're on your sole source of income. You have to pay taxes on it no matter how you divide it.
Yeah.
And I think the question is, do you want to withdraw on an owner's withdrawal to pay a business expense?
Right, to show that
Because
income.
when you do it as an owner's withdrawal, that's, like you said, almost considered money, salary.
Salary,
So you have to
right.
pay taxes on it.
You
Would
have
you
to
be
pay
better served to transfer that into a reserve account where there is no income?
business.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, see, then you could look at it to show it as business expense. And you wouldn't have to show it as income.
That's right.
You would basically keep, I mean, my thinking is this. If I
Okay.
had to renew that machine or something like that,
Okay.
it would be the cost of doing business. Every 3 years I gotta renew that machine.
Right.
That's the cost of doing business. I wanna make sure that those, monies are there in reserve.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna have it to taint, to say it's gonna ever be a part of an income thing, because once you do that, you're taxed there. And so I can say that, hey, that's an expense, that is actually a loss to my company. Every 3 years, I can claim that $6,000.
Right, because that's a business expense.
That's
That's a business
There you go.
expense,
I would
right.
leave it right there.
And that's great, great. We have great sharing, we want to move on, but that's excellent, excellent idea. So thank you for all sharing that. Now, are we good with the business and owner drawer? Great, thank you. Okay. Let me put my glasses on. Yeah, this is the kind of information that we definitely need to understand. Now we're getting into your cash flow. This is a great avenue, a hint, hint, hint. A cash flow. What is cash flow? Balance of cash received less the amount of cash paid over a period of time. Moving cash in and out of the business. That's what we were talking about. Okay? We understand that definition for one. What is your cash flow? Expected to flow in and out of the business over a projected period of time. Hint. A business can be profitable and still run out of cash. Who can tell me what does that mean? Who has an idea about that?
Learn on credit.
Say that again.
If you live it on credit,
Living on
large
credit.
money.
Okay? Who else can tell me about that? Because I want everybody to please hear this. This is a really good opportunity for you to understand how can, in other words, a business be profitable and still run out of cash?
It could have a lot of
Accounts
sales
receivables.
based on invoices, and it hasn't been paid yet.
A receivable problem. That's number one problem, is a receivable problem. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, sir.
No, I was gonna say that basically the same thing, but you gotta stay on top of those receivables. You
Okay.
gotta make sure that those people are paying you, so you keep your business going. And I've seen people actually have a person solely out there to make sure that those accounts receivable are being paid and on time.
Being paid and on time. Okay. You got a posse. I agree. That's excellent. That's very good. Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir.
You could encounter a shortfall from federal reimbursement from contracts.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So can you just tell me about that for a minute? Because I'm not.
Well, sometimes the government doesn't pay on time. It's take about 90 days for the cash flow to you.
Okay.
And so you gotta have sort of like a bridge loan to pay your expenses while you're waiting on reimbursement
Okay. That's right. That's
from
right.
the federal government.
Right, from the federal government. Okay, so accounts receivable. So that's another way of working. All right.
And the other thing is not just a collection problem
There's
with
another-
your receivables, it can be that your terms are too long. So you might want to shorten your terms. They might be paying on time, but if they're paying every 6 months, then that's too long for you to have a sufficient cash flow in some cases.
And there is another, having too much inventory. Okay? That can be a real cash flow problem. You got all this inventory, you're not making no money. Okay, you stated that you want to do a hair salon. You got $50 million of shampoo in the back. Well, what is that doing? That's not doing you any good. And you don't have no heads to wash. That's too much inventory. Take some of that inventory and start hitting the streets. Hey, y'all, I got these $50 million of shampoo here. Some fell off the truck. I mean, excuse me. New York line. Sorry. I got to stop that. New York line. Need to maybe rethink all that inventory that you have. Maybe start liquidate some of that so that you can have some cash flow. Okay? Those are the two greatest problems that I see, that you can have your cash in your business and you don't have it. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you a class. We're going to do quickly. Who needs to take a little break? Because it is kind of warm in here. A little break. Are we good to continue?
You wanna open the window?
Can we open the window a little bit to get a little air? If you can, go ahead and open. I know it's a little warm in here and everybody, we're kind of close. Okay, so we got another hour. All right, let's go. All right, so if everybody can get to your cash flow projection sheet, and then we're going to say, what is a cash flow projection? Okay, all right, that's good. Okay, that's good. All right, that'll work. Right, here's a sample of a cash flow projection. Everybody have this? Okay. Let's just take a few minutes to understand this sheet, this cash flow. You got month 1 all the way to month 12. You got your beginning. This doesn't have that on here. I wish it did. Company cash flow in and out. Future cash flow during a specific time period. Projection whether cash receipts, inflows will be sufficient to cover projected cash disbursement outflows. That's what this sheet is going to describe. And let's go over it real quickly. Month 1, we see, when you see a bracket, you know that's what? You're in the red. Okay? Negative. You're negative. That's your beginning cash. Okay? The first thing it says after here, after reviewing this spreadsheet, which month had a positive cash flow? Who can answer that right quick, just looking at this, taking an overview?
Month 5.
I hear month 5, month 6, month 5. At the bottom, the ending cash gave us $10,198. That was the first positive cash flow. Here are some strategies for creating a positive cash flow. Increase your number of items sold. For instance, if you're doing a hair business, or who's doing a business where they're going to be selling items? This lady over here, ma'am, about your jewelry. You said you wanted to start up a jewelry business, right?
Yes.
Okay, so increasing your cash flow. Maybe instead of making 10 pieces, maybe you need to think about making 15 pieces. That will help to increase your cash flow and do it at a time where it's conducive. Summer, everybody likes wearing low tank tops, nice bright earrings, nice big bangles. Increase your productivity during that time frame. And that helps you increase your cash flow. Okay? Increase the price of items. Maybe you're selling things too low. Okay? We all been there. Maybe you need to increase. My husband charges is $500 to do a risk assessment. Okay? And lead inspection. Now, if he's got to travel all the way to Danville, guess what? That's not $500. That's $600. Thank you. Because why is that? Travel expense, gas, time, and money. So therefore, you may have to increase your price. Locally in Richmond, that's fine. If he's got to go to the north side, that's right around the way. But when you have to go travel somewhere, you have to incorporate that in your time. Increase your cash flow. Changing the timing of expenses. Okay? And everybody should have that on their cash flow projection sheet. That's where I'm reading this from. Okay? I don't know if that's page 10. Page 10. Here it is right here. Okay?
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Which
Changing the
one?
timing of expenses?
Changing the timing of expenses. Just like I stated before. Expenses. What are expenses? What do you think about expenses when you think about that?
Things that you have to actually put out for buying the items that you need or whatever. Spending.
Spending.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe products are more cheaper during a certain time.
Seasonal.
Seasonal. Thank you. That's a perfect word. Seasonal.
Only if you can. Only if you can.
Only if you can. But if you can, it would behoove you to change the time. For instance, here's a good thing. When it's getting ready to become summertime now, what do? Most people, huh?
I buy winter clothes.
You buy winter clothes.
Yeah.
When you go in the store, how much are they?
Cheap.
They're cheaper.
Yeah.
So changing your timing expenses. Also, your air conditioner in your home goes to the bricks. When do you call the air conditioning people?
I do it in the wintertime.
Do it in the wintertime.
Because it's cheaper.
It's cheaper. So changing your time of your expenses can help you as a business owner. For instance, if you sell clothes, don't buy summer clothes in the summer. You buy them in the winter for your business. You go look around to these different stores and Kohl's and with Burlington, 70% off, 80% off, 90% off. You can get basically a wardrobe for 10 cents if you have to. By taking the reductions off and the coupons and everything that you have. I mean, we know about that. A consignment shop, hint, hint, over there on Whole Street. So that's what they're talking about, changing the timing for your expenses.
Okay, another example of that would be, for example, changing the timing to increase your cash flow. If you're gonna be getting some money at the end of the month, and you don't need the product until the middle to the end of the month, don't buy it at the beginning of the month.
Right.
Buy it closer to the time when you're gonna be getting a lot of money.
That's another
Those are also about your payables. If you can negotiate longer terms in paying for something, then that's what you wanna do as well. And again, all your expenses need to be aligned with when you're gonna be bringing more money in.
Right. That's a very good explanation. And then, determine your break-even point. Plan equipment purchases for replacement or expansion. Determine cash needed to purchase inventory for seasonal cycles. Now, we do have one thing that I wanted to touch on here. Research vendor options for buying inventory at lower price or obtaining credit from vendors. Your vendors is a very, very good source, especially if you have to use them. For instance, I know I don't want to keep using it, but because of your hair product business, you will be buying from vendors. So you have to be very competitive with your purchasing. You can't just, one vendor comes to you with these good products and you're like, oh great, I'm just starting my business, and he can talk you out of purchasing that. But you need to be very mindful of, do your homework when it comes down to that. Right, do some shopping. There are plenty of vendors out there that can save you money and provide you with a good product that you're looking for, especially for a lower price. And can you get credit from those vendors? Are those vendors willing to work for you? Or are they telling you, here's my product, give me my money? Okay? Most people, most companies, for instance, if they're coming in your house to do work, do they give you credit? Or they want payment right up front?
Right up front.
Nowadays, that's how things work. If they're cleaning your carpet, a carpet cleaning comes in your house, then are they going to tell you, okay, you can give me half now and half later?
No.
What if they want their money right now? They said right now. So when you're doing that, if a vendor is willing to work with you, oil companies, my house runs by oil. So when they come deliver my oil, they are willing to say, I'll deliver your 250 gallons or your 100 gallons, and they'll send me an invoice. If your credit is good. Okay, but if not, they want their money up front. So that's a good point. Look for vendors who are willing to obtain credit. Okay? Based on your documentation, based on your profitability, based on your revenue, show them that. That will help them get you what you need. Okay? For those who just came in, I'm Jennifer Asante, and welcome. Welcome. Okay? All right, so how can cash flow projection help, and when do I need one? These are some of the other things. Help you determine the need for financing. We just talked about that. As far as your cash flow projections, it will determine, once you keep this documentation, it will help to determine the need for financing. Do I need to finance some of these things? Do I need to pay out every time I have to utilize a service or buy something? Can I put it on credit? Can I finance it over a period of time? Which would help me to recoup some of that money so that I can continue my business. So that's an important concept. Show lenders your ability to plan and replay financing. Show them how you plan to buy basically a forecast. How do you see your money flowing when you get ready to finance and repay something? It's just like buying a house. How do the banks see you doing your monthly mortgage payments? What do they determine that by?
Cash flow.
Cash flow. They do a credit check, right? They see if you have income coming in, if you have a job. Okay, so we started with this cash flow projection sheet. That's it. That's where the sheet is at. That's where I wanted us to get to right now. So we're here and we're looking over the month. The first month, let's just go over this real quickly and then we can understand, and then we're going to take a 10-minute break. So we're going to start with month 1. We're seeing month 1, the beginning cash. This is kind of small, so I don't know if anybody can see this. So let's go ahead and use your handout. Okay? You have your beginning cash, your cash sales, then you have your other items, and then you have your total cash available. We're in month 1. Okay? You started out in the red. You got some cash coming in, probably from receivables, but you're still in the red. Okay? Operating cash. Operating use of cash, contract labor, wages, rent. You had to pay all these things out. Your total operating cash came to $2,800. Okay? You're still in the red. Inventory purchases. You had to purchase some inventory. Now operating use of cash. You're still in the red. Okay? That's your opening balance. Take that in the red, and what do?
Bring it to the next month.
First of the month. Carry that balance right over to the next month. You don't say, oh, I'm in the red, I'm starting off with something new. That's not how that works. You have to carry that over into the next month so you can continue. It's like a step process. Okay? So we carried it over into month 1. We started out the same thing. Okay? You're coming down here. You got your operating uses of cash. You needed that. Your total cash. Then your net cash. Then you come down to your ending cash. You're still in the red. But as you can see, what has happened?
You've made some sales.
You've made, exactly. Okay? You've made some sales. Let's just step back for a knowledge check. Remember, we started to say the importance of documentation. Okay? Documentation for your business. Now, if you didn't document your business, how would you know where you made your sales at? And to input that number in there. If you don't do the documentation, you wouldn't have known that you're still in the red, but it's not as much. So that's where that key component comes in documentation. And as you can see, the pattern flows just as how it goes. We do it again. We carry that balance right up front. We started with some cash sales. We come down with our total cash availability. We paid out contract labors, rent we had to pay, phone we had to pay. We paid that out. Our net cash, $3,000. Now, we're not in the red. You see that? But we had to purchase more inventory because business started picking up. But by purchasing more inventory, what did that do? Put us in the red. Put us in the red. But that's okay because we're going to project that we're going to get that inventory and we're going to make money off that. So therefore, we are going to put ourselves in the black eventually. Okay? Do you understand that concept, everybody? Yes. Great. That's what I wanted. So you see how the pattern flows? And as we get to month 5, okay, cash sales is what? $18,000. Okay? It shows. It took some time. But because we kept records, we got our inventory up because we knew, we projected that, okay, we're going to sell, but we had to keep those records and we had to keep, what I said, a little faith, a little prayer, knowing going forward that as we project, we would eventually show a profit. Okay? Great. With this is a great stopping point. Let's just take a 10-minute break. I know everybody wants.
Before you take a break, this is, I love financial management,
Okay.
so I have to apologize. But
Okay, no, you come on, bring it in, bring it in.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
We're looking at month month one, and we have a negative $5,512. Well, let's jump ahead to month 4.
Okay.
We have $3,927,000 loss from month 1 to month 4. We are experiencing a loss.
Right.
How are we going to the next month? The first time we got a loss, how do we go to the next month? Because that loss means what? We didn't have enough money that day for that month. So how do you go to the next month?
Loan?
All right, now this is a question I'm asking you because as a business person, it's nice on here to say, okay, by month 5, we're going to be cool. We're going to be okay. Well, what are we going to do until we get there? And I'm bringing that point up to show the importance of knowing this cash flow because when you have these negatives, you got to have a plan. Because it's not as cute as just saying it's on the paper and I got a net loss. We got to come up with some money. Because somebody doing that money is not going to get paid. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do during that time? So some of the things you might want to do is what? Renegotiate your payables. Okay? We need to renegotiate pay. Or if we know we're going to have a negative that particular month, another thing we might want to do is increase our sales. We got to have a promotion or something going on. So the only thing I'm saying with this cash flow, make sure you have one, first of all. And then when you see these negatives, make sure you have a plan to do something about it. Either you're going to have to get a loan from somebody, either you're going to have to renegotiate some terms, but you're going to have to do something because that moving to the next money ain't as easy as it is on this piece of paper. Okay? So again, you got to have a plan for that. Okay? All right.
With reference to, and I just want to thank Pat for bringing that up. That was an excellent, that's what we're about. Everybody's sharing and bringing ideas and showing exactly how this particular, your cash flow works. We just go back over it, do a little knowledge check so we can all understand how, when you start off with money and you project you're going to be profitable, you may not be profitable. Okay? You may not make money. So, there are ways where you have to be creative. You have to craft ideas on how you're going to make money for the next, how you're going to hold on. That's just like your regular money. You get paid your salary, okay? And your car breaks down. So instead of paying the light bill and the water bill, you got to buy a muffler.
Right.
So how do you craft your idea? Where's the money going to come from to pay the water bill and the light bill? Rob Peter to pay Paul. And sometimes you do that in your business, right? So those are ways you have to be crafty sometimes in order to make it to the next month, in order to see a profit. You may not see one, but you have to have ideas on what other resources or what other tools or what other measures I can use to continue my business. You don't want to go out of business. You don't want to just throw in the towel because you're in this for the whole long haul. Or else don't even get in business if you don't want to be in business. That's my motto. We held our lead spec business and it's still going on. It's not as strong as it is because people are not using lead-based paint anymore. They've come away from that. But there still are homes, older homes. You'd be surprised in Danville and way up in Virginia. Older homes that's built in 1942 still have lead-based paint. They come in, we test it, and it has to be rehab. And then we need you guys who sell real estate and finance. Maybe I need to talk to you guys. Yes, sir.
You kind of answered my question right before I was going to ask it. So
Okay, all right. Maybe you want to share that with me, because just in case somebody needs to hear it.
Oh, well, this is more or less about your business. I guess the idea of lead paint in itself, I was always under the impression that is that how you get cancer, or like what are the negative things I guess is involved with? Yeah.
It affects children. It affects a lot of children, and it affects their educational ability and their learning ability and their mobility in growing up process. A lot of kids, they eat the paint, the chip of the paint, and when they do that, it slows their growth process. Okay, and that is a big factor. Yes, sir.
Yes, Ms. Jennifer. Pretty much, I have a lot of houses that I lease out to RHA with the voucher Section 8 program through HUD. And, you know, their housing quality standards state that if the inspector finds that it's like chips of paint on the outside of window sills and whatnot, I have a lot of older houses in Northside. pretty much, we have to get that dealt with, scraped,
Right.
and repainted. So yes, they will flag that right
They will
away.
flag that right away, and that's when my husband comes in, because after they clean it, you have to go back and retest it, because who's to say the company did it properly?
Right.
You know, everybody's trying to make money. They may cut corners. They may say, oh, okay, who's to say this is not a lead-based situation right here? Okay?
Let me move.
No, I touched that. But see, this is what I'm talking about, okay? So let's go ahead and we understand, we got the cash flow, we got examples, we know how to be crafty, we have to think of other sources and other ideas in order to make it to the next month, okay? Discussion, increase the number of items sold. We went over this, increase the prices, reduce expenses, we address changing the timing expense, save money to have sufficient opening cash to get through the startup period. Save money. Okay. Okay, so cash flow obtained, we discussed obtain other sources other than sales, e.g. line of credit, reduce or change timing of your owner's draw. That gentleman stipulated that back there. Thank you for that. Buy inventory from a vendor at lower price. We talked about that with reference to maybe going to a vendor who is not so high up in price. Get some lower products. Maybe for people who can accept those lower products. And that's something that we can do. Obtain credit from the vendor. See a vendor who is willing to have credit, who's willing to accept you as a client on a credit-based issue. Okay? My husband does that. When we have to take those vials to be analyzed at the laboratory, he doesn't pay for it all the time. He runs a tab. The vendor is willing to give us credit to analyze those so he can get the report back. The sooner that report comes back, the sooner he can get that report to the vendor and get paid. So let's say we don't have the money, and here's a good for cash flow. We don't have the money to go ahead and pay for those samples. Then how can we submit the report to the vendor who's waiting for this report because he has to continue his project, or he has to go in and say, hey, I can't have nobody in this house because it's not approved yet. It's not lead-based paint-free. So he has to wait before he can make his money. So we're holding up everybody. Right. So we need a vendor who can give us credit to say, I will go ahead and process these samples and you can pay me later. Mm-hmm. Okay? So you see how that flow of cash has to keep working. Mm-hmm. That's where we found that vendor. And thank God for that vendor. Okay? So this is what. Now, what is a profit and loss statement? Okay? We have, let's go to the profit and loss statement. Who can tell me, hint, 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 a profit and loss statement? Okay? Measures revenue and expenses over a period of time, tracks profitability, whether the business is making a profit on what it sells. Okay? So that's an important concept. Hint, hint, hint. A profit and loss statement is the best tool in knowing if your business is profitable. Okay? So let's look at a profit loss statement. It shows you successfully the buying and selling process has been managed. It measures the ability of your business to grow, repay debt service, and support for you. Now, in this presentation, what is the basic formula for a profit and loss statement? Okay? Here it is. Okay? Sales. Let's take this one. Hint, hint, hint. This hint right here. Okay? Sales. You got your sales. You're selling stuff. Then minus cost of goods sold. Okay? What is that? What is your cost of goods sold? Somebody tell me that. It's your total expenditure for inventory. That what the customers buy. You're selling shampoo. That's your cost of goods sold. Okay? Then it's going to equal gross profit. Okay? That's your profit that you got. You sold some shampoo, some hair coloring to people who want to keep that going. Okay, I need a little color. But I need to talk to you after the class. And then you got your overhead. Overhead is what? What's your overhead?
Your expenses for doing
business.
business.
Right. For ongoing your business. Your light bill, you got to pay people. So that's a what? That's a minus. Because you're paying what? Paying out. paying out, that's going out, okay? Then, what's left, pennies or something, still, but that's considered your what? That's your profit. Now, and this is a profit and loss statement. This can be a what?
Monthly statement.
Okay, this is a monthly statement, but this net profit, it could be a what?
Loss.
It could be a loss. That's why it's so important to understand how do you compile a profit and loss statement. Okay? Let's go to, how do you do that? Net profits for pay. What is the basic for? Did I go back? No. Okay. Net profits for pay. Owner's draw, future expansion and equipment, principal loan, and income tax. What we need to do is we need to look at this particular sheet and look at your profit and loss statement. Okay? This is on page, what page is that? It's a sample of a P&L statement.
13.
Page 13. I don't think this. Okay. How do I compile a profit and loss statement? This is what we're going to look at. This is how you compile it. Let's just go over this really quickly so we can understand how this is done. Review. Okay, this is what I needed to see. This is perfect. What do you see about the business? Is the business well managed? Does any problem stand out? This is a real component that you need to understand when you're dealing in your business. Does any problem stand out? What problems are you facing? Because if you can nip that problem in the bud, that can help you to determine where your losses are going to be, maybe for that next month, or maybe for that next period. If you have selling clothes, for instance, and you have a group of multicolored red clothes, you notice month to month, those clothes are not selling. Does that problem stand out?
Yes.
For your business? You may need to restructure that. You may need to say, wait a minute, that's not doing so well. Maybe I need to lower the price. Maybe I need to get rid of that inventory. Because that's a problem that stands out. What about potential growth? You see that there are red skirts and they are selling like hotcakes. They're going off the chain. People are buying them, or ties, red ties. They're going off. It's a Kappa month. And everything is happening for that. What about the potential growth? Maybe I need to get some more because during that time I see it's a hot item. So that's my potential growth. Will the business support the owner? This is my business. I don't have another job. I don't work for the city. I don't work for another corporation. I work for my business. Will this support me? Will this pay my house note? Will this pay my car note? We talked about that with reference to salaries and owner's draw. Can your business help you pay for what you do? Who has their business that's a sole business? Okay? Okay? Now, will the business support the owner? That's what you have to look at. And I'm pretty sure, is that what you looked at when you had your business?
Well, I found out after I started, even though I still work for the city.
Okay.
Yes,
Right, yes. And did you address what problems stand out in your business?
yes.
Very good, okay? And will the business be able to get a loan? Documentation. Have your revenue, have your statements, have your forecasts. Take that to the bank so that therefore you can have your business, the ability to get a loan for your business. Okay? Let's look at this profit statement. Okay? What it does is it brings up a point of time. This is talking about from October 2011 through September 2012. Okay? We'll get to that right now. We're right here. And the first thing it deals with your ordinary income expenses, landscaping, markup income, your retail sales, your service, your total income. This is the bulk and meat and potatoes of your business. Okay? This is what it's saying. But then you have your cost of your goods sold. You sold some goods, so therefore your gross profit is $61,478.14. This is over this year's time that you've been in business. But remember, you have expenses. if you have people working for you, or if you have expenses for yourself. This is your expense. You have all these expenses over this year's time. And how do you keep those expenses? Remember what we said. What's the key? What did we say? How do you keep those expenses?
Documentation.
Documentation. You see the importance of it because it comes back to you in this profit and loss statement. You got to show if you had a loss for your business, whether it's conducive to continue with your business. You're in it for the long haul, so you want to keep this record. After you deal with all of your gross and your expenses, you deal with your total expenses. Your net ordinary income, and then your other expenses, your miscellaneous, your interest, your other interests. Then you wind up with your net income. Now, as we can see, we had a gross profit of $61,478.14. Is that correct?
Yep.
How do we get down to the net income of $14,748.40?
Pay your employees and do all that.
Exactly. So, also, when you're doing something like that in your business, that's where your forecast comes in. Okay? So, 9 times out of 10, when you do your forecast, this is the bottom line you should come to. That 14 when you're doing a forecast. Not this 61,478.14. Okay? That's what you want to do. Understand how you do a forecast based on this profit and loss statement. This is real important for you to capture this. If you don't capture anything else, capture this. Do not base your forecast on that gross profit. Because what component are you leaving out?
Your expenses.
You're leaving out your expenses. You have to project those into your business. Yes, sir. Yes.
At the end of the year, you come up with that 14K in a nonprofit organization. That's your surplus, and you're not allowed to do that because it's a nonprofit, right? What do you do with that 14K?
Call me.
Okay, wait a minute. Let this gentleman answer that because he seems like he's. You deal with nonprofit?
No, I was just trying to be a little
Okay.
But I can't.
Who deals with nonprofit here?
You can reinvest it or you can give it away as a charity, as a donation.
Donation. Yep.
Well, can you donate it back into the nonprofit? Back into your
Yes,
nonprofit?
you can.
Can't you set up grants with it?
Because aren't you looking to grow what you're doing? How do you plan to grow your business? If, for example, you service 20 people, maybe next year you want to service 25. So those expenses will go up. And so you'll use that money to grow your business.
And that's not illegal.
The difference between profit and non-profit is that when you make a profit, you can take the money out and spend it on anything other than the business.
Right.
When you have with a non-profit, and people get that misunderstood that they don't think you're supposed to be making money. You still gotta live. You still gotta grow. So that money has to be. The difference is has to be reinvested in the business.
Not you.
Yeah.
Reinvested into my salary.
No. Again, you could increase your salary. Yeah, you could.
It was a justifiable expense.
But it has to be an expense on your profit and loss. And if your salary is on there, that now you may have some people that want to contribute. Look at that and say they don't want to contribute because you're getting it all. You're not doing anything with it, but you are able to do that.
And you have to be careful with that. If they look at you and they see that you have this astronomical salary, they won't question your records. That's going to subject you to almost an automatic audit.
Right. Exactly.
For a nonprofit.
For nonprofit. Very good. Thank you for sharing that. Did that address your question?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure that any question that is answered, I want to make sure that, okay, wait a minute now, you just want to make sure that they address your question. Okay, great, thank you so much for sharing that.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, sure.
My particular business, I am starting creating a nonprofit. Can I donate money from my business into that nonprofit, even though I am the director of that nonprofit?
Oh, wow.
So you want to, yes you can. And matter of fact, my husband is starting a nonprofit business of his own, one-by-one initiative. And he always talks about how he has to pay himself out of his nonprofit, and that's what you're allowed to do. So what he's doing is, I don't know if anybody has heard of Kiva. Kiva is a nonprofit organization that helps third world countries generate businesses on their own, food, agriculture, housing. So Kiva is one of his nonprofit, under his nonprofit organizations.
Okay.
So what he does is take some of his money and puts it into Kiva.
Okay.
So that is under his nonprofit. So is that the same thing, I think, what you're talking
I'm
about?
creating a nonprofit.
Right, he got a nonprofit, he
Okay,
created
and
a
I have a
nonprofit.
business.
And he has a business.
Okay, so I'm gonna, my intention to do is to take monies from that business to donate it to that nonprofit so that I can take it to where I want it to go.
Right,
Okay.
so, but you have to, when you do that, you gotta have statements and documentation and paper trails and taxes showing that that is like a contribution you're making to a nonprofit.
Exactly.
Okay? And that's where you have to be real careful with that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Try.
Okay? Tracking, paper trail. Okay, we're gonna go into business financing. Oh, this is a great one. What are the do's and don'ts for small business financing? Okay? Ooh, raining out there. Okay, so what is the do's and don'ts? Invest your own money. Is that a do or a don't?
No.
Who said don't?
I
think most of us have.
You can, if you wanna
Yeah.
document it and
Right.
make sure that you're compensated for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You need to invest your own money first. Before you go around start asking people, hey, can you lend me money? Lend me money? We gotta invest our own money first.
How much skin in the game?
There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. What is it? Skin in the game.
Can you
Show your commitment. Okay?
If you invest your own money first into your company, can you get that money back? How would I get
Oh,
that
You
money
yeah.
back?
said you had a charity, so you
Right.
donate to your own
That's
charity.
right. You get that. Once you start making profit, you get your own money back.
And I'm gonna need you to give yourself a receipt.
Oh, right. I'm gonna need some documentation. Right. I'm gonna need some documentation. Okay? So earn the right to borrow. That gives you the earn the right to borrow. Generally, borrowing is not a right. Rather, ability to borrow is earned as a privilege.
Amen.
Okay? That's a privilege. That's not a right, it's a privilege. Show profitability. Remember what I said, by the forecast. Show that you're going to be making a profit going down the line. Even month to month, based on that cost cash flow statement that we went over, there was some challenges that was faced. However, there was a profit that was going to be made. Because we crafted, we did some resources, we found other avenues to bring in some money into the business. Therefore, by month 5, what did we have? We showed some profit. Okay? Understand and keep working capital. Be on lean, fixed access, match sources, and use of funds. Okay? And you can read that in your handout. Understand your financial statements. This is a big one too. You have to be able to read your documentation, your bank statements. What else is a financial statement?
Cash flow, balance sheet, income.
Income, cash flow, balance sheets. Understand those
Tax
documents.
statement.
If you don't, go online. Go get a book. Go ask somebody. Ask an accountant just to sit with you and to go over your statements on what does this mean. It will help you. Understand collateral options. What is collateral? Do you have collateral? You want to borrow something. What do you have? This is not collateral cell phone.
No, you
Not
not what your
collateral.
assets, money,
Right,
your
okay.
account.
Your house, your car. Do you have any stocks or bonds? Do you have anything of
Savings.
value, your savings, that can help you obtain a loan? But understand risk and cost for any loan type. Okay? Yes.
Can your business be considered collateral if it doesn't have, there's a lot of money in it?
Yes, it can be.
How?
Services.
Services, that's a good area. Because remember, LedSpec, it's not a big business, but it does provide a service. It provides a darn good service and a much needed service in some of the areas like this gentleman spoke about. When he does, it is required that any home past a certain year has to be checked for lead. It's required before that person can purchase a home.
Up to 1978.
Up to 1978. Thank you very much. So therefore, even though we don't have $100,000 showing in the bank, they're saying, you know what? Here is a list of homes that were made before 1978 that may have lead base paint. They're gonna provide a service to these homes. Yes, we will give him money because what? They need that service. Okay? So please understand that. No grants, shop around. There's no grants, business financing. Be very mindful of that. There is a common mistake believed that government grants are available for business. With a few rare exceptions, grants are not available for business owners.
That's right.
Okay, they're not available. Okay, grants are for non-profit organizations. They are targeted for a specific mark. The city of Richmond has special funds. I cannot go into the special funds and start purchasing office supplies for a party that I'm going to have for the mayor. Special funds and grants are earmarked for a specific purpose and not for a business.
And if you don't do what you stipulate you're gonna do for the grant, you could be held liable.
You can be held and you have to pay that money back. And most of the times with interest and penalties.
All that, it's a business.
It's a business. So please be mindful of that. When you call up and say, oh, I need a grant for my business that's gonna make $100,000, they're not gonna give you that. That's not what it's targeted for. Get expertise, get expert advice. Loans. We touched on this. Have a business plan. Know what you can afford. Study your financial statements. Okay? Check your credit report. This is a really, really good component. Because why? Why check your credit report? What do you want to do?
Make sure it's under par.
Right. And you said you want to borrow money for your business. So if your credit report is not up to standard, what's going to happen? You're not going to get a business. What's going to happen? A reject. Know your credit score. People will work with you regardless. But at least if you know it going forward, you stayed there. I do have some challenges, but this is what I crafted. This is my proposal on how I see myself getting out of that. Show collateral options. Establish collateral options. What are some of your options? You got a house, you got a car, you got some stock.
Take a mortgage against your home?
Take a mortgage against your home. You have some retirement money.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to touch that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. Show your equity contribution. What did you bring to the table since you had your business? What did we have to bring to the table when my husband started the business? We had an idea, but we had to have some startup money to start some of the business.
Capital.
Capital, okay? Research your finance options. This is out there. The internet is full of options. Research them. Okay? Loan packages. What are common elements of a loan package? Your business plan. Keep your documentation. Have it laid out. It's like a proposal. You're coming to someone for some money. If somebody was coming to you for money, what is the first thing you're going to ask them? Yeah.
How can you pay me?
Basically, where you work at.
Wait, you got a job? Okay, have a business plan. Show some financial statements, current and historical. Show them that over time, my business has been making money. Over time, we did go through some challenges, but I crafted some new ideas. I restructured. I did some changes in my business in the way that I'm buying, my buying power. I've sought out other resources. Personal finance statements, make sure they're in order. Personal and business tax return. Please, I can't stress enough, make sure your taxes are in order. You have a business, get tax help. If you're not savvy in your taxes, get an accountant. You gotta pay your taxes quarterly. Look who's getting ready to go to prison, Lauren Hill, but not paying. I'm sorry, paying taxes. But you don't want that to happen to you and your business. It can easily happen. So understand this common elements of a loan package. Put together a strong, concrete, knowledgeable informational source where when you make a presentation to the bank, they'll look and say, okay, you may have a chance of getting a loan. Okay? Okay, we studied this, the credit report, your collateral, source of amount of your equity contribution, okay? Your credit score, repayment ability. What is your repayment ability? How do you plan to repay this money back? Have some sort of setup plan. Have a step-by-step plan, a month by month. Use some of the tools that we discussed. Documentation. Show your profit and loss statement. Show your cash flow projections. Have a projection each quarter. What are the criteria for qualifying for a loan? Okay? To qualify for a loan. Good credit score, equity contribution, repayment ability, loan to value ratio. And then you get your approval. We touched on those. Yes?
What do you recommend service or a place where you can get your credit score for free outside of freecreditreport.com?
He gave us one in one of our other classes.
Credit score.
Also, a bank. Check your bank. Because most banks, if you open up an account with them, they'll give you your credit score. Wells Fargo did that for me. Wells Fargo did that for me. Okay?
They give you all three, or you're not sure?
No, they gave me all three.
Wells Fargo?
Yep, Wells Fargo.
Credit
Yep.
union too.
Credit union? Credit union. Try credit union. Wells Fargo, I went and opened up a checking account there, and they gave me my credit report for free. They gave me all three. Now, ma'am, did you have a source that you can share?
Oh, one of the previous presenters gave us Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, and also Wells Fargo.
Wells Fargo.
Also,
See?
creditscore.com is what he said too.
Okay, creditscore.com.
Credit Karma is good.
Oh, Credit Karma, you got all three of them?
man.
Very good, very good. Thank y'all for sharing that, because this is what we need, definitely.
So what? It's creditscore.com.
Credit Karma.
Credit Karma.
Credit Karma, I got all three of them.
Sesame.
Print it right on out.
All right, so starting up finance. This is good. What are your finance options for starting up a business? Who said they wanted to start up a business here? Who's starting up a business? 1, 2. This is a great slide for you to understand how to do that. Your equity, your sweat equity, your credit card, your family. Those 4 components start up to finance a business. Okay? Equity. Let's take that. Okay, what is that? Many businesses start up with savings from a day job through the sale of an asset. You launch your business by starting small and reinvesting the profits over time to build up your business. Do you have any savings? Do you have any money that somebody can loan you? Family members, or your friends, or somebody who's willing to go into business with you to help start your business. Okay, your sweat equity. Doing it yourself. Okay? Just like you stated, you're beautician. You are working in a shop, but you are getting the information around the shop as to how a business is being ran. You washing the head, you looking at, oh, that's what she does. Okay, right. You're taking ideas. You're taking your time to learn how you're going to start up your own business.
And learn from their mistakes.
And then there you go. Learn from their mistakes. That's the best thing you can do. Okay? And then also your credit card. Owner of startup business can often qualify for a credit card when used wisely. But remember, get a separate credit card for business use only. We touched on that. Okay? Your family. If you have a family member who maybe has a little money, ask them. Come with a proposal to them. Talk to them about your return on your investment.
And pay them back right away.
Pay them back right away. Try to pay them back right away. Or have them over your house for dinner every Sunday. Do something for them. Look, my grandmother said, if you can't pay me in monetary, pay me in service. Come to my house. Maybe they need you to watch their kids sometimes. Maybe they need you to do their laundry, an elderly person. Maybe they need you to go food shopping for them. Okay? Remember barter system back in the day? There wasn't always cash. There was that barter system. Okay? It was service. And we may need to start doing that to help your business. Provide a service. If you know who knows how to fix a car? Go in there, rotate somebody's tires. Change their oil in their car for them. Okay? So that may help. Okay? Where should you look for business loans? Bank, regional lending organizations.
Me.
You said that? No, and you too? Okay. Oh, yeah. There you go.
What about City
Okay.
Richmond?
Right. And also, remember, make sure it's reputable. You don't want these high insurance and interest rates
checking account.
Backdoor Bobby's Bank. And then, whoa. Okay, never heard of him, don't know what he offers, and then you're all caught up, and the next thing you know, you're just paying, and you didn't get no money. Never, please.
Does the city still offer low interest business loans?
Was the SBA?
Minority
I didn't hear
business.
the question.
Does the city still offer low interest business loans?
Yes.
Yes.
No, the city has its own
Right, has its own.
contract, their own loan program.
All right, you got your top 5 key. These are really good points to know for business. Let's touch on them real quickly. Here we go. Financing is getting the money you need to start and operate your own business. Somebody read number 2 for me, please. Anybody?
Start financial management with a budget.
Okay, that's the first thing we talked about. You got to have a budget. Give me one point why it's important to have a budget. Lady with the...
You don't wanna, overextend yourself for one thing.
Okay.
You know where you're going.
Exactly. And if you don't have a budget, how are you going to know that? Okay. Next one. Somebody give me the next point.
Sound bookkeeping is the basis for all financial management.
Remember what we talked about. There was those 10 components of bookkeeping. Documentation. You got to have receipts. You have to show how your company is making money. If it's a profit or loss statement, you need to show that. You need to show your cash flow. You need to show what is coming into your business, what is going out of your business. Yes, sir.
Or if you don't got your receipts and somebody takes some money, like it happened to me, how you gonna prove it?
Exactly. That's a real good point. I'm so glad you brought that up. I just forgot about that totally. You're in a business. You're working for people. Especially they do that in bars. That's a real big scam. Well, not a scam. It's a real big profit loss.
And then the merchant companies don't protect you.
Right.
So
They
you
don't
gotta
protect
watch
you.
them banks.
Okay? So you have to be careful. Just like at the end of the night when you're in a bar, you need to tally up your receipts. Don't wait until 3 days later to do that. Because Joe said he got to pay the babysitter, so here's $50 that I need to take from his cash register that I'm going to go pay.
Or that tip.
Or that tip.
That's why I put zeros and leave cash.
Okay? So,
That can happen even if they're not using cash. They can do that with checks. Anytime you're not checking your account.
exactly. But that's why I said don't wait 3 days, 4 days later, because it's too late then. You're done. You need to tally up daily, especially on a business where, guess what, cash flow is coming in all the time, in and out all day long.
You ain't gonna know it.
You ain't gonna know it until it's gone.
It's gone. It's later.
It's later. All right, so let's go with this one. Somebody read that for me.
Cash flow projections will help to see cash shortages even when accrual accounting may be masking cash realities.
Okay? So you have to have that cash flow projection report that we went over. Even though when you think you may have some challenges where it's masking it, you may have it. So you have to go ahead and pull from other resources in order to make this cash flow where you can see your cash shortage. Okay? Read the last one for me.
A P&L statement is the best tool for knowing if your business is profitable.
That is a year statement. Starting from, we said, from the 11th of October 2011 to September 2012. Have that statement. Know whether you had a loss. And by doing that, you continuously do a forecast, continuously monitor your cash flow projections, and have documentation. That will keep your profit and loss statement intact. Understand what goes into a profit and loss statement. Don't forget about the components that bring you to your net profit. You leave out your expenses, you're not going to have a complete profit and loss statement. That's a meat and potatoes of your profit and loss statement, is your expenses. Because that will determine if you're making money or not. Okay? Now that we did that, we're going to take 5 minutes and we're going to do this post test. Now remember, I said hint, 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 hint for some of those post tests. Now you can see, now that you've gone through this course, We want to see what you've learned. Okay? The post-test is on what page? Page 20. Everybody turn to page 20, please. Please. Getting tongue-tied here a little bit. And once we go to page 20, let's just go over some of these things. We can, what time? 5:53. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and go over this. I'll give you about 4 minutes to go over the questions, and then we'll deal with that. Okay? Can I see a show of hands of how many people are completing this post-test? Great. So let's go ahead and go over it. Now that you've gone through the course, let's see what you've known. I'm going to pick on volunteers. You read the question and just tell me the answer. Volunteer number 1. First, go ahead. You know what? Can I have the sign-in sheet, please?
Is that what they call it? But she don't have no paper.
Okay, let me have the sign-in sheet. Thank you. We're going to go. We got a few minutes. Let's go through this fast. Tell me. Okay, great. Kevin, what is the answer to number 1?
Backup documentation for a loan application, fixed asset for a loan, collateral for a loan.
Is that correct? No. Okay. ABC. Very good. Thank you. Number 2, Gail.
True.
Very good. Everybody's in agreement with that? Yes. Great. Michelle, number 3. Michael, sorry. Michael?
Just left.
Just left? All right. Hey, Michael, get back here. Thomas, number 3.
B.
Very good. Everybody's in agreement with that. Victor, number 4.
True.
Very good. Everybody in agreement with that? Great. Darshell? Number 5. Okay, all right. You skipped that. Gary, number 5.
Let's see, how might a business be profitable and still run out of cash like all apply? I have so far B.
B? And D is the D. Very good. We're all in agreement with that. Okay. Judy, number 6. Very good. Everybody in agreement with that? Great. Oh, number 7. Remember I said hint, hint. Who can give me Nelson, number 7?
A.
Very good. Everybody in agreement with that? Alan, number 8.
Okay. Working capital are the funds needed to run the daily operations of a business, including
Drum roll.
including inventory and overhead expenses.
Very good. A, everybody in agreement with that. Last but not least, Jennifer Asante. Which of the following is not a good small business finance practice? Select 1. Purchase fixed asset as much as possible when starting a new business for collateral. That is not a good business because they lose value over the part of time. Okay? And that is B. Okay, B. B, thank you very much. Okay?